Hi, this is Colleen McGee welcoming you to episode 126 of Fort Riley, the podcast. This episode, we are talking cybersecurity. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. This episode, we bring you the experts in cybersecurity with tips to keep you and your family safe in the cyber realm.
My name is Phil Kirk. I am the Regional Director for Region 7 of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is an operational component of the Department of Homeland Security. Region 7 includes the states of Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, and Nebraska.
And we're talking today cybersecurity because October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
And this is actually the 19th year of Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
So tell me a little bit about some of the high points that your agency is a proponent for during this awareness campaign.
It's a collaborative effort each and every year between government and industry to raise cybersecurity awareness nationwide and help ensure that all Americans have the resources they need to be safe and secure online. And the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, we are the federal lead for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And this year's campaign theme is See Yourself in Cyber. So what does that mean? What we're trying to do is encourage the American public to see themselves in cyber, that it drives home the fact that we are all inhabitants of cyberspace in this day and age, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's driving your car, whether it's paying your bills. I mean, there is every component of our everyday lives, for the most part, involves some element of connection to the internet. So that's our theme this year, is See Yourself in Cyber. And what does that really mean? I mean, cybersecurity seems like a large and complex subject, but it's really not. It's all about people, and it begins with the individual. So this October, we're asking all Americans to see themselves in cyber. And throughout the month, we're highlighting different ways individuals and organizations can improve their own cybersecurity efforts, whether it's for themselves as individuals or their families at home, at work, or at school.
Tell me some of those ideas for general awareness, things to watch for with your online presence for you and your family.
There's 4 things that every individual can do, and we encourage everyone to think about these things and to take some action, and if they're not doing these things, to really think hard about it and maybe start doing all or some of these things this month as it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And the first and probably most important is to enable multi-factor authentication. You need more than just a password in this day and age to protect your online accounts, and enabling multi-factor authentication makes you significantly less likely to be compromised. So that's number one, and that's probably the most important thing. If people do nothing else, we would encourage them to enable multi-factor authentication on their devices. The second thing is to use strong passwords. People need to use passwords that are long, unique, and randomly generated. Use a password manager that's available pretty much on every device that will help you generate and remember different complex passwords for each of your accounts. And that password manager will encrypt your passwords and secure them for you. And it's also important, it's very important, don't use the same password for each account. The third thing is to recognize and report phishing or phishing attempts. If there's a link in an email or a text message and it looks like it's a little bit off or it looks a little strange, it probably is. Think before you click on links that don't appear to be appropriate. It could be, and very likely may be, an attempt to get sensitive information or to install malware on your device. And number 4 is to update your software on all your devices, and don't delay doing that. If you get a notice or see a software update notification, we encourage everyone to act promptly and implement that update. And better yet, on your devices, turn on the automatic update feature. Those 4 things will greatly, very much reduce the likelihood of you being compromised by some bad actor that's trying to gain access to your information.
Now, when we get emails that are suspicious here, we know who to send them to with our OPSEC manager and our anti-terrorism offices, like, our cybersecurity folks. But if we're getting something on our private devices, what agency do we report that to?
My recommendation, Colleen, is the most important thing to do is just delete the email, right? Delete the email, get it off of your system, and in fact, delete it, and then go into your deleted file and empty those file folders. As you may guess, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of occurrences each day where this happens, and unfortunately, it's just so frequent that there's not, one agency where those things can be reported directly to and an action expected on the other end of the agency that you contact with regard to those things. Now, in the event that it's something that's ongoing and it's coming from a specific account or a specific entity, or you keep getting something that's specific to one of your online accounts, your financial institution or your bank account or some other account, certainly you can call customer service for that particular entity and let them know what's going on, and they may have some suggestions, or they may be able to take some actions on their end to help block some of those things. But the most important thing for people to do is to recognize that it looks suspicious. Do not click on the email or do not click on the link or the attachment and open it, but just delete it and then delete it from your trash file. The other thing that can be done, and sometimes I get these types of things where there's some spoofing going on, where people start receiving emails that look like they're coming from somebody that that says, hey, thought you might want these photographs, so wanted to send them to you. That might also be a good indication that someone's trying to access your account, and a lot of times that would be a good time to maybe go in and change that password if it's not automatically being changed periodically, just to make sure that if someone has somehow accessed your account, go in there and change that password on that account. And that frequently happens to me. In fact, my mother, she had called me a few times in the last few months saying, hey, I'm getting some weird emails and they're saying they're coming from you. So the first thing I did was go in and change the password on that email account. The other thing that we would just encourage people to do is back to those four things, and the most important one is to enable multi-factor authentication. And I know it seems like it may be a hassle or it may be a lot of work, but it's one more step, and there's evidence out there that clearly supports that by enabling multi-factor authentication, it significantly reduces the likelihood that your individual accounts, or business accounts for that matter, will be compromised. Everything I just talked about also certainly applies to the business community, and I know that our men and women who wear the uniform may have additional jobs. They may have a business of their own. And so certainly all those things apply to them as well. And lastly, everything we talked about and more is available on our CISA website. So I would encourage your listeners, if they have the time, to check out www.cisa.gov, where all those resources that I just talked about, those tips, those smart practices, those do's and don'ts are available on there, plus a great deal of additional information.
Thank you for listening to Fort Riley, the podcast.